Another Monday and another Purple Pain podcast. Yes. Welcome back to our, fourth straight Purple Pain podcast? 4 in a row? That's depressing, to say the least. But episode 342 of the Purple Pain podcast. Anthony Mitchell episode. Lorenzo Neal, Patrick Carr, Jerome Sapp episode of the Purple Pain podcast. Thank you for coming through on your Monday evening, even if you aren't in the best of moods. First off, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. This guy right here on Instagram or on X at Sutton Def. Me, Instagram, simply as10.prod, or on X, it's simply as10. And most important, like I always say, always follow us on X for our real live in-game tweets because they are funny and they were out yesterday. But Sutton, I know we are here on their losing Monday, but how are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm feeling frustrated, which is a common theme, a common feeling that I know myself and a lot of other Ravens fans, I'm sure yourself as well, have been feeling this entire year. And the main reason why I'm feeling this way is because the Ravens just lost to the Rams 17-3 yesterday. However, I think we would all agree when we would say that game was there to be had. It was there to be won by this Ravens team, and they just couldn't do it. DWA's already making it rain in the with the super chat. Appreciate you, bro. Says the emergency Ravens meeting. Oh, it's an emergency, all right. It's looking like it might be over, to be honest with you. And I think that's kind of like the theme for me of this episode, because the Ravens have 5 losses, right? And it's only week 6. You are quickly running out of real estate of how many losses you can accrue. You're quickly running out. At this point, the Ravens can only really afford to lose 1 or 2 more games max. And after that, I mean, that's it. You might as well really punt on the season. Yeah. So I'm frustrated because the Ravens should have won yesterday. If there was one game that the Ravens probably should have won with no Lamar, it would have been that Texans game. Nobody went into this Rams game, no Ravens fan, thinking that we would win this one or even be competitive against the Rams. But we were. Just not on offense. So we're going to get into the game in itself, break down, some of the stats from the game and everything like that. But before we do, let's bring up who's here in the live chat. Let me see. Ashley Shelton is in the house. What's going on, Ashley? We got Slicer59 in the house as well. Appreciate you for coming through. King Blaze is in the chat, I see. Who else we got in here? Chike, what's going on, Chike? Appreciate you for pulling up. Says big up Sutton and Simply. Sutton, I got to watch both of those films that you stumped me with that I should have known. Also, Simply, that call with the Lions not getting a touchdown on their first drive was BS. I didn't see that.
Surprise. Who were they playing? Makes you wonder.
Yeah. Ann says, hey, Alex and Sutton, I'm disgusted with losing. We face the Bears after the bye. Yes, we do. And that's going to be, just like every other game for the rest of the season, a must win, a playoff game, essentially. If the Ravens were to somehow still make the playoffs, and I think they're sitting at like a 35% chance right now is what the books are giving us. If the Ravens were to somehow rattle off, 11 or 12 wins on the season at this point, I think that they would be very well suited going into the playoffs, especially, with all of the games coming before that in the regular season being must wins. We're going to be used to that must win feeling. But that's a very big if at this point. So, Alex, let's go ahead and get into the game. So again, Ravens lost 17-3 against the Rams. I want to run through some of the numbers really quick, some of the stats, and Alex, I want to get your overall reaction to the game. Okay,
Yeah, let's
so
do it.
let's start with the stats here. Let me see. So the Ravens actually ran the ball effectively in this game versus the Rams. So let me go through it. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 122 yards, averaging 5.1 yards a carry, right? Following him up was Tyler Huntley, who got in the fourth quarter, 3 carries for 39 yards. Justice Hill had 6 carries for only 16 yards. And of course, Mandrews is on the stat sheet for the rushing yards because the tush pushes and things like that. So just looking at that, it seems like the Ravens running game might be getting back on track. And one thing that we were right about, we were so right about this on our preview episode. Start running Derrick Henry to the outside. That's what we were saying on Thursday, right? And what did the Ravens do? You saw a whole lot of outside zone. I think there were 20 attempts that Derrick Henry got on outside zone, and he was tearing it up. The Rams couldn't stop it from the first whistle to when they really stopped using Derrick Henry, which in the fourth quarter. Um, but yeah, that was one thing that was encouraging to see. I would say, obviously, not giving Derrick Henry the ball on the goal line was huge, and I'm sure you'll get into that as well. But just really quick, the receiving numbers: Zay Flowers, 6 catches for 46 yards. Of course, had a fumble. They only credit him with 1 fumble, but I credit him with 2. I just went back and I watched the highlights. I'm not crediting Cooper Rush with that fumble. Zay Flowers should have had that ball and held on to it, but he didn't. He didn't. So I got him with 2 fumbles. Justice Hill had 5 catches for 28 yards. Mark Andrews, 4 for 24. D-Hop, 2 for 20. And the rest doesn't even really matter. Rashad Bateman, 1 catch for 8 yards. He's been a non-factor this season. Sorry, but it just is what it is. Isaiah Likely still has not found his impact on the offense. Tyler Loop, 1-for-1 field goals, put up the only points on the day for the Ravens. So, and then just really quick, running through the Rams numbers before I toss it to you, Alex. Matthew Stafford, 181 passing yards, 17 for 26, only had 1 touchdown. He was sacked twice. He honestly, I don't think he had any passing yards in the fourth quarter. Like none.
Wow.
I just went back and watched it. He had 181 yards at the very beginning of the fourth quarter. So that says something there. Kyron Williams, 13 carries for 50 yards. Blake Corum, 5 for 23. So we were stopping the run. We're stopping the run too. And then you look at the receiving numbers. Tyler Higbee led all Rams receivers, 4 catches for 40 yards. Tay Adams had 4 for 39, had a couple drops in there. Kyron Williams, 2 for 37. Puka Nacua, who was kind of like in and out of this game. He was dealing with I believe it was a ham. No, I think it was an ankle. He sprained his ankle. But he had 2 for 28. And then the rest, Whittington, 3 catches for 23 yards. He had a drop too. But Alex, when you hear these numbers, and then also I think it's Nate Landman had a crazy game, a bunch of tackles. But when you hear these numbers, Alex, and you see that the Ravens lost this game 17-3, when it looks like we were running the football well and effectively, and we were stopping the run. So what happened, Alex?
First off, I gotta say they are never beating the Vegas allegations. As somebody who bet the Blake Corum over, the line was 23.5. He had 23 yards in the first half. No, he got hurt. He was back in the game. Didn't see 1 single snap. Yes, I'm salty about that. But going to the actual game, we held them. Defense looked a lot better. They missed a chip shot field goal. I think me and you can probably hit 65% of the time. I think a 25-yard field goal, we can hit it. Give us a couple practice kicks, we'll hit it. But man,
I don't have confidence in myself hitting a 25-yard field goal.
you can
I'm
hit
not
it.
very good with my feet. I'm not.
Telling you.
I've never been good at soccer. I don't think I'd be good kicking a football, to be honest with you. That's all you. I have faith in you, but me, I don't think so.
I'm telling you, we can get you there. But
Maybe.
the defense, I don't want to say they're turning a new page because they definitely. The Rams were poorly coached yesterday. I think they could have put up more points, should have put up more points, but they didn't. What really hurt us is that 4th and 2 call, and I've seen a lot of discourse online. Do you agree with dropping 9 men in the coverage on a 4th and 3 against Matthew Stafford?
Absolutely not. You got to get some pressure on these guys.
Exactly. And especially, Matt Stafford. If it's a Dylan Gabriel, I get it. Matt Stafford has shown he can make any throw in the world. And where does
Yeah.
he put it? Only where Kyron Williams can catch it. Only where he can catch it. And that's what pissed me off. And offense, I'm glad you brought the video back up. I'm not putting these in my pants again, but Todd Monken, I don't even think it's Todd Monken. It might be John Harbaugh, I think, really calling these goal line plays. They asked him about it. He trumps
Hmm.
Monken when it comes to calling these plays. 2 tush pushes, we are not the Eagles. And on a fourth down, everybody and their mother knew Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Mind boggling.
I
Mind boggling.
it's inexcusable. Like you can't if I'm sitting at home as a fan watching the game and after those two tush pushes, which were ill advised to say the least, if I'm sitting at home like I was yesterday, getting ready for the Ravens to attempt that fourth and goal, I should not know without a shadow of a doubt who's getting the football as a fan at the end of the bar. But I knew that they were going to run Derrick Henry into a brick wall on fourth down after they just had two opportunities to give him the ball in that short yardage situation to get 1 yard. At that point in the game, Alex, Derrick Henry was averaging 5 yards a carry. And oh, by the way, he had broke off two uh two runs of 8+ yards on that same drive. That was the drive that LeJontay Wester fumbled the return, and then they call that back because of a penalty on the Rams, and then he takes it into plus territory. So we were set up very nicely on that drive. That was our best shot at scoring points yesterday. And on the goal line, you see them go Mark Andrews for two tush pushes in a row. And look, John Harbaugh is right. After the game, he got up there on the podium and he said, "You're supposed to be able to get 1 yard on a tush push to score a touchdown," which you would be correct, John. You would be correct. D-Waz making it rain in the chat says, "Who had the worst game yesterday?" We'll get to that in just a second. Uh, but yes, you're right, John. You're supposed to be able to tush push it in from the one. But what has this offensive line shown you run blocking wise that they're going to be able to get push up front, enough push up front to successfully run a tush push? I don't know why John Harbaugh thinks we're the Philadelphia Eagles. We're just not. It's just, and honestly, the history of Mark Andrews tush pushes hasn't been that great. The Ravens have been running it for the past, I think, maybe 2, almost 3 seasons, I would say. It's a relatively new wrinkle to the Ravens offense, but most of the times that I can remember, Mark Andrews is either getting stood up and he's not converting, or he's just barely, and you need replay assist and all this other things to confirm that he barely got the inch or two that he needed. It's just not a good play. It's just not a good play, man, quite frankly. And Harbaugh said today, because I think I want to say Cordell Woodland, friend of the show, asked John Harbaugh about what he thought about those tush pushes, like were those like in the game plan, things like that. And John Harbaugh basically said, yeah, those were already like predetermined calls. Like it was basically scripted. Like when we got down that low, we were going to do that regardless. So to do it twice in a row, and I tweeted you about it when it happened, I was like, bro, you were spot on, because there's no reason why multiple times, because this isn't the first time this has happened this season. Multiple times the Ravens have gotten down to the 1 yard line and couldn't punch it in. It's unacceptable.
Yeah. And I'm going to add one more. And listen, I'm not a coach, but maybe, just maybe, I would have thrown Tyler Huntley in there, even for a read
Mm,
option. Cooper
yeah,
Rush presents no threat on the option. You know it's going to go to the running back. At least with Huntley, somebody has to pay attention to him. Just somebody.
yeah.
And there was the whole thing how Harbaugh said we were always going to use two quarterbacks, and Cooper Rush says he knew nothing about that. I'll say it right now, and you can slack me for it. I kind of felt bad for Harbaugh. And here's kind of what I alluded to too. Unfortunately, this is very grim. It's like seeing a grandparent or an old person just kind of slowly lose their mind. Slowly lose it. He was on the sideline. He
Mm,
did not look like he wanted to be there. He looked like he didn't even know where he was. He closed his eyes at a point in contact. I got a screenshot of it. He just went and opened it back up. He's losing it. It's sad to see, and the human in me just kind of came out. Was like, I kind of feel bad for him. Another part, I'm like, all right, well, you should step away because you know you don't have it in you anymore at this top level. You're not there, so you can step down after the year. Unfortunately, I think that's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not there anymore, man. It's really sad to see, and he's done a lot of good for us. But just call it quits, man.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
you saw the same
mean,
thing as me.
yeah, yeah. The harp spaces were out in full effect yesterday. Full effect. Even the national media is started hip to the harp space. I listened to some ESPN show this morning or a clip from it, and they were talking about how Harbaugh looks just confused, just out of it on the sidelines frequently. So no, I totally get you there, and I don't know about necessarily feeling bad for Harbaugh. I think that this is more so just kind of like an indictment on the negligence of Steve Bisciotti, Ravens owner. And the reason why I say that is because if I'm Steve Bisciotti, how many times am I going to see clear as day how different, how night and day my football franchise looks when Lamar Jackson is not on the field as opposed to when he is on the field? There is no excuse. If I'm Steve Bisciotti, there's no excuse, there's no bail that I'm shooting John Harbaugh for when one employee, albeit the quarterback who's very important, when one employee is not playing, the Ravens go from scoring 30 plus a game to 6 a game. How is that excusable? If I'm running a company, right, and I have a manager who I've entrusted and delegated all the leadership duties to and everything like that. If there comes a time where whoever's managing my company, they tell me, hey, look, we're down a guy, one of my best guys, we're down him, so the entire operation is not going to be functional. I'm going to be like, well, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. One player not being available should not make this franchise completely incompetent. You can't justify that.
Yeah.
To me, from Steve Bisciotti, but I'm sure they're not looking at it that way. I think that yesterday, with the defense actually playing pretty well, albeit the Rams did not look good. I thought that the Rams didn't get anywhere near their best shot, their best effort. You know, especially considering how they were one of the highest scoring teams in the league. Matthew Stafford led the league in passing yards, and Nakua, who I know got hurt, led the league in receiving yards. They didn't get any of that off. None of it. Stafford didn't even pass for 200 yards. So it's just like when your defense has a performance like that, but then your offense can only muster up 3 points. It just kind of goes to show how nothing this team is without Lamar Jackson at quarterback. And it's unacceptable, bro. Because if Lamar, hold on, really quick, if Lamar retires tomorrow, what's the plan? You know what I'm saying? Like, hypothetically speaking, if he retires tomorrow, or let's say, God forbid, he doesn't want to extend himself with the Ravens and he wants to go somewhere else, what's the plan? If you're Steve Bisciotti, are you looking at and really trusting John Harbaugh to turn the ship around, to right the ship and keep this team competitive even without Lamar Jackson? I don't trust him to do that. Right?
Can I add one on to that?
Sure.
Are you looking at the GM and trusting him?
See, here's my thing. I understand people being upset with Eric DaCosta and how he constructed this team because, yeah, you could have put a little bit more capital into the trenches. It's not like we don't learn every February what truly wins you this game at the highest level. Because we do. Every February, every Super Bowl, it's clear and obvious as day. Whichever team is better in the trenches wins that game. They win that Super Bowl. So for Eric DaCosta to be as negligent as he has been when it comes to the offensive line and the defensive line, I get it. I do. But at the same time, we would be disingenuous if we sat up here and acted like we didn't think that this was one of the best rosters going into this season, one of the best rosters in the NFL. I think Eric DeCosta has done a pretty damn good job at putting this roster together. Outside of a few spots, guard on the offensive line, of course, was a big topic of discussion, and it still is to this day. But for the most part, he put together a damn good team, a team that people were favoring to go to the Super Bowl and win it. You know what I mean? Like the Ravens had some of the highest odds to win the Super Bowl this season. That doesn't happen if you don't have a roster that on paper looks damn good. And it did. It did. So and also I can't, because you saw it at the end of last year, the offensive line was making strides. Right? They were playing a lot better. So who could have predicted that they backslide again to being complete ass? So I can't really put too much on Eric DeCosta, but what about you?
I'm gonna have to for the line. I think he put way too much faith in his drafting abilities, and he kind of contradicts himself. He trusts the guys he drafted, i.e., Bateman and Zay, but goes out and signs DeAndre Hopkins for a vet because we need him. Why not do it with the line? There was a ton of veterans I think that could definitely come in there. I don't think Voorhees should be a starter on this line in this league day one. He didn't show it last year. The first couple of games he started. Flele, I'll give it a pass. He kind of has the Harbaugh stamp, whatever. But the D line as well. What did he do? He signed John Jenkins and Brent Urban. That was it. When, like you said, you saw Jordan Davis, what's his name, from the Eagles, Jalen Carter.
Jalen
They
Carter,
had
yeah.
Josh Sweat. All those guys just dominate the Chiefs, and we didn't do anything to upgrade that. And and then you go ahead and trade Owe, which we kind of a moot point at this point. But just neglecting the trenches, man, really pisses me off, and it's showing now early in the season. Diwa says, "How come we can't make a good second round pick?" Rosengarten is good. Dobbins was good, not his fault. Steve Saunders ruined his time here. But before that, yes, I can agree. I just think EDC, for someone who kind of values scouting, he's had a lot more misses than hits. And we shouldn't be pulling up fifth round history picks of his and having a whole list of guys who haven't played a snap for this team.
Yeah.
Fourth rounders, Jalen Armour Davis, I saw, was playing last night for a different team. He was wearing a single digit for this team. That's how much faith they had in him.
Yeah, man. Again, I do agree that the negligence when it comes to both lines, offensive line and defensive line, that's inexcusable. However, I think that if there is anywhere that you're going to, how do you say, like, cut costs, it would probably be on the offensive line. I would if I'm Eric DeCosta, I would justify it like this. Like, I have a quarterback who has such a high level of dynamism that even if a pocket breaks down, he can still wiggle around and make a play. You know, now that's not something that you want to have long term for your quarterback, for any quarterback, even Lamar Jackson, somebody as dominant as he is with his legs and just, athletically. But again, the Ravens offensive line was making strides last year. So I think that they had every reason to believe that they were going to take the next step this year. And all of a sudden, if they did take the next step this year, all of a sudden you have a cheap O line outside of Ronnie Stanley, of course. You have a cheap O line that's making it work. There's nothing better than that. A bargain deal at O line. Now, in hindsight, it's like, no, you should have invested a lot more capital into the trenches. And I've been thinking about this Malachi Starks pick all day, because Malachi Starks was the first round draft pick for the Ravens. And at the time, I can't exactly remember what we said because it was me, you, Jason, and a couple of other guys during the draft. But it was such a luxury pick. And looking back on it, we could have had, one of the top guards, one of the best guards available, one of the best defensive tackles available. man, I think the BPA, the best player available strategy, and I think Alex just dropped out for a second, but the best player available strategy is clearly not working. It's not working. You got to go out there and you got to get guys at either premium positions. So we're talking edge rusher, right? We're talking tackle, premium positions. You got to get a guy at one of those spots, or you got to get a position of need, dire need. And even just competition alone, bringing in some competition. Garnett says Josh Simmons was right there. Exactly. Could have had our tackle of the future. These luxury picks, man, they're not it. They're not it at all. As we wait for Simply to get back in here. DWAS, you had another question that I had not gotten to. Hey, Sip to Tally Films is in here. What's going on, Coach? Appreciate you for coming through. I just got done listening to your call-in show from yesterday after the game. It was pretty funny stuff, especially what's his name, Ray, the Falala guy. But shout out to you, Coach. We'll be live with him tomorrow for Ravens Roundtable discussion. But you mentioned something earlier, DWAS. You sent a super chat. Again, appreciate that. You said who had the worst game yesterday. I think that is very clear and obvious that it was Zay Flowers. Just kind of like by default. 2 turnovers. And Alex, I was just answering DWAS's question from a couple of minutes ago on who had the worst game. I'm just going to say it was Zay Flowers. You turned the football over twice in the third quarter when that game was there to be had. The Rams were they were giving us the game on a silver platter. And for Zay Flowers, 2 fumbles to essentially take the Ravens out of it completely. I mean, that's a donkey of the day worthy right there. I mean, and of course, he didn't talk after the game. A lot of people had issues with that. I didn't, to be honest with you. At this point, what do you even want him to say? Yeah, I should have held onto the ball. What do you want? We're still 1-5. Do you agree with my assessment of Zay Flowers having the worst game? And what did you think about him not coming to the press conference?
All right, got a couple of things. So, worst player of the game is either him or 77. Offensively, I thought Buchanan didn't play his best. I put a tweet about Starks, but I'm not gonna really put it on him. There's a couple of times like it wasn't his fault, and then another time it's Devontae Adams. So you're a rookie, respect. But as for Zay, the whole not talking the thing, this team loves talking when they're up. The thing I love about Michael Jordan, he'll talk when he's down. This team doesn't talk when they're down. They only talk when they're up. Roquan Smith, the leader of the team, he didn't talk. Why should anybody else? Lead him by example, like a true leader. And everybody else can follow him. So I'm not surprised that he didn't talk. Not gonna take it away from him. But yeah, 2 fumbles. How can you not be the worst player for that?
Yeah.
But in his defense, I think he was trying to do too much since nobody else there was he had to make a play, and that's whose fault is that? Is that everybody else's fault or his fault? That's what kind of pisses me off.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen Zay Flowers do that multiple times. My only issue is this: was Zay Flowers trying to make a play? And we're about to get to your super chat donation, Matt Ross. Appreciate you. But my only thing about Zay Flowers trying to make a play is how much he loves to go east and west. Yeah. The only thing that you do to a defense when you are going east and west, bobbing and weaving through traffic over the middle of the field, the only thing you do is give defenders time to rally to the ball, number one, and time to get angles on you to punch that football out. It's the only thing that happens. I mean, honestly, in a kind of similar, maybe not way, remember the Mark Andrews fumble against the Bills in the playoffs, right? Everybody just wanted, hey, Mark Andrews, just run straight. But no, he tried to get cute, go east and west, gave Terrell Bernard a perfect angle to punch it out, and that's what happened. Especially if you're Zay Flowers, you're a smaller guy to begin with. So it's like, you don't need to be in traffic trying to bob and weave. right? Around all these 18 wheelers around you when you are in a scat pack. You know what I mean? You're going to get roughed up. Okay. Like you're going to lose that accident, right? It's going to show on your car a lot more than the other ones and the bigger boys. You guys get what I'm saying? But yeah, Zay, somebody said Cooper Rush had the worst game. Cooper Rush, man, we'll get to him in a second.
Yeah.
Mad Rasta with the super chat donation. I got to pull this up on screen. Let me see. Mad Rasta says, play like a Raven has turned into a joke. This is a team similar to the Jets, Dolphins, and every bad team. Zay is not a $30 million wide receiver. Man, I mean, he's certainly not making it easy to justify Eric DeCosta cutting that $30 million check, right? Per.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there?
I think we both agree, 30 million is a lot for him. We kind of compared the stats, especially in this offense. And we're at the point now where we've seen, what we are without a line. It's not pretty. So we want to put those assets toward a line. But similar to the Jets, I mean, the record wise, yeah, same record as the Titans. And they just fired their coach. Brian Callahan is out. First head
Yeah.
coach firing of the year. Most definitely won't be the last. Jets 0-6, Dolphins 1-5. Out. Anthony Weaver sure has that Ravens DNA. 50 seconds left, and he lets the Chargers drive down the field. Kick the game-winning field goal. So, play like a Raven. There it is. There's that joke we talk about. And that's why I feel like if we have a new head coach, I don't want somebody who's been in this organization. I don't want a Jesse Mentor. I want a whole new fresh blood of, not being a good boy. I want somebody that's not in the good boys club. I want the guy at the freaking dirty bar over there who gets some fights every week and will fight for his team, like a Mike Vrabel. I don't want the good boy sitting there with his freaking pinky up, drinking lemonade with the umbrella in it. I want a fighter, and I want a guy who can rally these guys and not just be a rah rah. Yeah, who's better than us? That's what I want as head coach.
You need somebody who can kick some ass. Just simple as that. You know what I mean? Like I said it last week. I'll say it again. Mike Vrabel, perfect archetype of coach, I think, for this Ravens team. If you want them to come out and play with physicality, tenacity, and ready to run through a wall week in and week out, you got to get a guy like that. Obviously, it's not going to be Mike Vrabel because his job is pretty safe and secure in New England, and they've already been, taken off this year. But yeah, it's got to be a guy like that. I think that the Harbaugh experiment is all but over at this point. I don't think that they're going to fire him in season, but I think you said this earlier in the show, this will probably be the last year, especially if the Ravens, how many games are left, Alex?
11.
11 games. I mean, if the Ravens so much as drop 3 of them, like it's legitimately over. Like you're quickly now approaching mathematical elimination, right? That's what you're playing with now.
Yeah.
You have something for me though?
I'm so delusional, but I still think we can make the playoffs because I think everybody else just isn't that good. I think there's 5-1 teams right now who aren't that good, and we aren't that good. I'm a Ravens fan. I can't really talk, but I'm watching these teams. The 5-1 Colts were they got sold. The Cardinals got sold by the refs. All right, that was a PI on Trey McBride, but they almost let Jacoby Brissett go into their home and beat them. Like, who are the good teams in the NFL right now? We saw Drake May go into Buffalo and beat the Bills.
Yeah.
We saw the Lions who made us look like freaking dirt lose to the Chiefs, who have not been that impressive this year. Like, I don't know who the best team in the NFL is, which kind of is giving me hope. Our division freaking sucks. So we could take 2 from the Bengals. We could take another one from the Browns. The Steelers right now, they were barely up on the Browns, and they just ran away in the fourth quarter. Like, the NFL, it's a week-to-week league, but as much as I think we can make the playoffs, I know because of Lamar, that's Harbaugh getting saved once again by him.
Yeah.
But I think it can still happen, and you can clown me, whatever, but this team obviously doesn't act like they care when Lamar's not in the game. Flowers, Bateman, I love them. I'll say it. They weren't showing fight with Cooper Rush, but when 8's in the game, they'll turn it up, and we are regular season champs, so it'd be very fitting for us to do that and get knocked out first game.
Yeah. Donovan Carter with the 2-piece in the chat. Thank you so much for the super chat donation, brother. Says Harbs is the reason folks in the bar are not watching games.
Reason I'm not
Yeah,
going. I
yeah.
could tickets were like $60 for 100 bolt. Why would I want to go?
Mm,
Waste my gas, money for parking, money for concessions, and just my time. Why would I want to go?
yeah. It's not
For
a good
three
product.
points?
Exactly,
Hey
exactly.
Sutton,
It's a terrible product.
guess
Oh,
what?
another super chat donation,
Real quick.
making it
You played as
rain. Yeah,
many
go
games
ahead.
as you played as many snaps as Jair did yesterday. And he was active.
Yeah, yeah. I I can't explain it. I can't. Mad Roster here dropping the 5 piece in the chat. Thank you so much for the super chat donation, brother. Making it rain here on this episode 342 of PRP. Says best thing for this team is to get a high draft pick. We have never won back-to-back playoff games, so what does it matter? This is a rebuild team. And I was actually just kind of getting into this. I was gonna say, like, with Lamar Jackson coming back to a 1-5 team, yes, I do believe that with the softer schedule that the Ravens have ahead, they can rip off some wins, right? But will it be enough? If you're not going, what you say, 11 games left, if you're not going 10-1 or 9-2, like at the worst, it really just, all it does is just mess up your draft position. You know what I mean? Like, and then also, if you salvage the season and you end up winning, what, 10 games or something like that, I think that also takes heat off of Harbaugh.
Yeah.
There's so many excuses and so many outs for the leadership in terms of just coaching, right? Like, now that Zach Orr's defense only gave up 17 points to one of the best offenses in the league yesterday, the fire Zach Orr, that's over with. That's dead. That agenda is over with after yesterday, completely. And the Ravens only put up 3 points. It's no biggie. The reason the Ravens only put up 3 points is we don't have our starting quarterback. So you're telling me if Lamar Jackson were to retire tomorrow, the Ravens would have zero plan. They wouldn't even be competitive. That's an issue. That's an issue. So many excuses everywhere around. But appreciate your super chat donation, Mad Rasta. You make a very good point there. It's looking like it might be a rebuild type of season. That's where we're at. You had to get one of these ones against the Texans or the Rams. The Texans beat the dog shit out of us, right? You expected the Rams to do the same, but early third quarter, you're feeling like, okay, maybe we can win this one. Maybe we can pull this one out. Honestly, no, I knew the Ravens were going to lose that game. At the end of the second quarter when we push twice with Mandrews and we don't get in the end zone. I knew it was over then. I tweeted it right then and there. You can look at the timestamps from my tweets at Sudden Death on Twitter. Yeah, man. A couple of things though came. What, do you have something else for me? My bad.
I would take the role of the delusional fan.
Okay.
Like if we lose against the Bears or the Dolphins, yeah, I'll pack it in. There's just, like I said, there's way too much talent. I don't know why our heads are up our asses most of the time. Like whoever's telling us on 4th and 2 to just throw 20 yards down the field, that's just got to end. Like we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. Like we are becoming our own worst enemy in certain points. Like why is Tyler Huntley throwing it to real fan Dan up there on 4th and 10 when you got to get a touchdown? You know who Tyler? I don't. You're not trying to save your job. Just throw it in the end zone. F it.
Yeah.
Somebody's down there. Hope for like a deflection, a tip, and you can catch it first down or touchdown. I don't know. But you gotta win these games. And as for the draft pick, do we trust EDC? He might take some project guy to Penn State again. Who knows? With the top pick, because
I
he's
think
doing different
with
analytics.
Yeah, but with the way that this season is going, the Ravens don't have any sense of luxury right now. At least like coming out of some of the past seasons, right? You can kind of look at this team and be like, okay, we won 11, 12, 13 games, right? We're not in a bad position roster wise. So why don't we just go and we pick BPA? Has been the philosophy for the Ravens draft strategy for years now. And I think that having a season like this, if we were to end the season, under 500, which is a very real thing, very real possibility, I think it would force Eric DeCosta to look himself in the mirror, look this team in the mirror in its totality and say, okay, we are not passing up on one of the best guards available, one of the best edge rushers available, because there's a safety out there who hasn't gotten picked. There's a reason why safeties don't get picked that high. It's just not a premium position. Like, the risk is nowhere near worth the reward drafting a safety in the first round, especially considering you already have one of the league's best safeties and you plan on paying him a bunch of money, which they did just months after. It was, in hindsight, like we always know, it's 2020. It was a terrible pick. It was a terrible pick. You know, the fact that we have Alohi Gilman in here now, newly from the Chargers, in exchange for the Owe, trade last week, who Owe got a sack, by the way, got his first of the season.
We called it.
We called it. We called it. But no, I mean, now that you have Alohi Gilman in there, and I think they might be trying to maybe roll back the role of Malachi Starks a little bit. Maybe they figure that he bit off a little bit more than he could chew as a rookie, and they want to kind of slow roll him in the rest of the way. Maybe. But no, I mean, Kyle Hamilton working closer to the line of scrimmage in the box, that looked better, right? That looked good. I'm saying all this to say, you better not go into the draft this year and draft any position that is not of paramount need for this Ravens team. It's clear and obvious. You need help on the offensive line. You need help on the defensive line, right? Those are the two main things. You have to address that with the first pick. There's no other way. No other way.
They could have done it last year. And I'm not going to, call out Starks, but they're lucky, and as messed up as it sounds, they're lucky Ardarius got hurt. Because if he was healthy and you pick Starks, and now you look at this team, if you had 3 safeties that were, 2 as Hamilton, Ardarius that were starting last year, and then you had another first round with these type of cracks going on, man, that's not looking too hot. So,
oh no,
I think he should be back like in a month and change, but we could use him in the slot now. I mean, as a corner, not as a safety. I thought positive. I didn't think Gilman was that bad. I thought for his first game on a couple of practices, didn't look too bad, making tackles. Don't think we got beat over the top. I think Wiggins got beat the one time. That was about it. Davante Adams. But just no fight at a point. 0 fight.
Yeah.
You can't be doing that.
Yeah. It's yeah, not looking good. Let's put it like this though. Ravens are 1-5 going into the bye. A lot of people think that coming out of the bye, you're gonna have some guys back healthy, maybe Ronnie Stanley and that ankle that they keep putting on the field, even with no Lamar. And he keeps re-aggravating it. I don't really know why, to be honest with you. But you might be getting a Ronnie Stanley back. You might be getting a Roquan Smith back. Marlon Humphrey, he escaped yesterday's game pretty much unscathed, so he should be back. Of course, Lamar Jackson will be back. Pat Ricard might be back. Harbaugh said some interesting things about Pat Ricard earlier today, which we can talk about in a second. But I want to ask you this, because trade deadline is in a couple weeks, November 4th. Is there even a point in Eric DeCosta trying to make a big swing to acquire somebody on the line to save the season? No? You're already shaking your head.
I need team control. I don't want no 1 year rental. You have to have team control. It can't be just this year. And that's probably what it will be, is a 1 year rental. And you bring up, is Roquan Smith coming back really helping us?
I mean, I think by default it would, like
just the way
you have a veteran linebacker. Sure, yeah.
We get our hype guy back. Heck yeah. Woo!
I know. I mean, I do think that it would be a net positive, right? Yeah. Getting Roquan Smith back. And I liked how Buchanan and Simpson, they didn't play bad yesterday. They didn't play bad. But I definitely do think that having Roquan back there would help. He would help. Now, in terms of, do I think that Eric DeCosta even thinks that it's like smart to make a big swing, it's tough, man, because like on the one hand, I want to be like you, Alex, and I want to have the faith that the Ravens can turn this thing around. But the only way that they do that is if they take a big swing and they get somebody in the trenches, right? You need a big defensive tackle, a nasty defensive tackle to kind of plug up that run, right? And force some interior pressure. You see what happens when you force interior pressure. John Jenkins did it yesterday, much to my surprise. Pushed right through the middle of that line and took the ball from Matthew Stafford. We need more of that. Okay. Uh if you can't get a star edge or a star guy on the inside, or you get a guard. But the problem is no team is going to be giving up a starting guard, especially to a Ravens team who nobody wants to turn the ship around. Nobody wants to see the Ravens start winning games and you know, putting together a good season on the back half. Everybody wants the Ravens to stay down, right? So I don't really see too many trade suitors for the Ravens. So with that being said, man, I think that they just rock out for the rest of the season with the guys that they have and see if Lamar Jackson can save him. John Harbaugh said today at his presser, he said, like, yeah, we're heavily leaning on Lamar Jackson being back for week 8 against the Bears, and hopefully we can turn this thing around. If I'm Steve Bisciotti, again, and I'm listening to Harbaugh say these things, it's like, oh, you weren't the one, Harbaugh, who turned the ship around in 2018 and 2019. It was Lamar Jackson this whole time? That's what Steve Bisciotti is probably thinking. Like, if it's not any more clear and obvious who needs who more, hey, man, I'm looking at Steve Bisciotti as like what you said earlier, like that old relative that is losing it mentally. You know, I mean, this is the same Steve Bisciotti who said that Lamar Jackson is not even nowhere near the top of his list of guys who he would want to win a Super Bowl for. You know, stuff like that. And then when he's not playing, it's like your team doesn't even look like they can score a touchdown because they can't. Averaging 6.5 points without Lamar Jackson. That's your team, Steve Bisciotti. That's your baby at head coach who you hired in 2008 and you just don't want to let him go. That's what he produces without 8 on the field. Remember that. Remember that.
He can keep and enjoy seeing those purple empty seats.
Yeah.
So,
Jerry says here. Oh, go ahead.
I'll tell you this. So, November 4th is the trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
You got to win the next 2 games if you want to think about making a move.
Yeah.
Bears and Dolphins. So, if you're 3-5 at that point, I think you definitely can make a trade. But I need to see quality wins. I'm talking like double-digit wins. Yeah. I think you can do it. But I just need to know if this team, believes they can do it. And that's the difference.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough because you got the Bears at home, and then 4 days after that, you got the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football in Miami. Of course, these are against teams that the Ravens are supposed to beat. Mm-hmm. But man, if that defense looks anything like what we've seen for the majority of this season, I could see the Bears getting us out the way. I could see the Dolphins getting us out the way. That's where we're at. That's where we're at.
That'd be very embarrassing. Like I hope we win these games. Like I'm not going to root for us to lose. I'm not rooting for a higher draft pick. I'm rooting for. I want to see my team win. It's really that simple.
Same.
But if you lose either one of those games, like I said, you can pack the season up. It's over. But man, that is. I don't know who should be more embarrassed: the coach, the players, how the owner. I don't know who should be the most embarrassed. As a fan, like I'm still living my life. It's
for sure.
But they're still getting paid, I guess. But that's just embarrassing as a man. Like
it is. So. It is. Let me see. Jerry says, talk about Pat Ricard. Harb said he's not sure he'll be available versus the Bears. Pat must have saved this O-line with his great blocking. Well, yeah. I'll tell you one thing. Zaire Mitchell-Payton is not it. He's not it. He's nowhere near productive enough to justify continuing to roll him out there in that Ricard role. He's just not. He's constantly getting blown up. He's whiffing on blocks. He does not look good. Simple as that. And yeah, Harbaugh talked about Pat Ricard earlier today, basically put all of the onus on Pat Ricard for when he comes back. John Harbaugh basically said, no, yeah, we think he's healthy. It's just a matter of, does Pat think he's healthy? So y'all got to ask him. It'll be up to him when he comes back. If we're up to me, I'd have played him in this game. Seems healthy to me, but it's all up to him. And Harbaugh seemed a little bit frustrated about that. And I can call back to, I think about 2 weeks ago, he was asked about Pat Ricard, and Harbaugh said verbatim, he was like, look, I'm just going to be honest. How many times do you hear John Harbaugh say, look, I'm going to be honest, right? He doesn't say it all that often, but he said, I'm going to be honest. When it comes to Pat Ricard, we thought that he was going to be available maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the season. He's still not available. Things keep getting re-aggravated. So basically, you got to ask him. But boy, I tell you, if there's one thing that this Ravens team is missing right now, it's the presence of Pat Ricard. Because the run game looks nothing. I know it looked decent yesterday. Almost 200 yards rushing on the ground. Derrick Henry gets 24 carries. The outside zone was working really well. Cool. But what Pat Ricard brings to this running scheme, I think that we are seeing in real time over the course of this season just how important he is. Because we can't, honestly, with Derrick Henry getting hit at or before the line of scrimmage at the rate that he is, it's unacceptable, man. It's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So we need Pat Ricard back. Hopefully he's healthy after the bye week, and he can start helping out there in that area. But I don't know, man. It looks like Pat Ricard's just not ready mentally.
Yeah, I could have swore we had a fullback on the practice squad too, which kind of
Luke
makes
Scott,
us.
right?
Yeah, it makes it even more baffling. I
Yeah.
get Mitchell Payton's on the roster. Shoot if you caught him, or you can just make him inactive and call up the fullback.
Yeah.
It can't hurt, right?
No.
I feel for the guy. He's a rookie, and you're throwing. He might not be a rookie, but you're throwing him in there at a position he isn't. He's never played before. He's a tight end, not a fullback. So you're throwing him in the backfield, and that's kind of what the Ravens do, unfortunately, and it just kills these guys' confidence now. How do you think he's feeling missing these blocks? He's not a fullback, so I feel like.
Uh-oh. Did Alex freeze? I think Alex might have froze on us. Over 100 people watching live. Thank y'all so much for coming through to this episode of the show. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. There were a couple more things I wanted to touch on here before we get out of here. Oh, yes, I definitely want to talk about these two things. Hopefully Alex can get back in here in a second. Yeah, looks like they might have froze up on us. Yeah. But one thing that I did want to bring up, John Harbaugh mentioned today, said that the Ravens are, quote unquote, absolutely considering changes on the offensive line. Rookie Emory Jones Jr. hasn't done any pass blocking yet as he comes back from his shoulder injury, but that starts now. And Alex, real quick, what do you make of John Harbaugh saying today that the Ravens are absolutely considering changes on the offensive line?
I'm not believing until I see it. His love child's at right guard, and a good story's at left guard. I don't believe in it one bit.
Well, if there was any time to make a change to the offensive line, it would be right now. So I mean, yeah, I think that they do have a couple of options on the table, and guys like Bullock and guys like Emory Jones, and guys like Ben Cleveland, we could potentially see a change at that left guard or that right guard spot. I personally would love to see Emory Jones get some burn there, but we'll see. It all comes down to who they like the most in practice and things like that, in the meeting rooms, all that stuff. So, but hopefully they'll do their due diligence and they'll make a change there, because right now, even just running behind Andrew Voorhees feels impossible. It feels absolutely impossible. Even running behind Falele is not working. And honestly, I'm looking very, very close at George Warhop's job.
Mm-hmm.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because this offensive line, you can tell they are not tight. They're not executing really at any level. I saw a play where Daniel Falele was trying to catch a block, and he just completely whiffs on his guy. And then he goes back and helps make the tackle on Derrick Henry. Like, what are we coaching? You know what I'm saying? You got guys pulling left and right. You got guards pulling on the goal line. What is that? Like, why should that be necessary? I mean, it's crazy stuff. It's insane stuff, if you ask me. So that's the O line. John Harbaugh also said that Cooper Rush is still the Ravens QB2, but he feels like they have two backup quarterbacks with Rush and Tyler Huntley. Harbaugh reiterated that the Ravens went into Sunday expecting to play both quarterbacks. Huntley would have come in earlier if the running game struggled. Here's my thing, really quick on the whole Tyler Huntley and Cooper Rush. We saw a night and day difference in the offense when Tyler Huntley was put into the game. Tyler Huntley threw for four less passing yards than Cooper Rush. Tyler Huntley only played one quarter. Right? I mean, and then of course he blew him out the water with the rushing yards. I think he had like 39 yards rushing. For a team that claims to value continuity in the way that they do, it still makes no sense to me why you would go and get a backup quarterback who can do none of the things, who can replicate none of the regular offense that you have installed with Lamar Jackson. It doesn't make any sense. You go from a quarterback who can use his legs whenever he needs to, and the offense is predicated around around that. I can't even talk. I'm getting so mad thinking about it. And you say, no, we're going to go ahead and get a backup quarterback who's a statue, stand back there, drop back, make the throw. By the way, Cooper Rush has no touchdowns, 5 turnovers. No touchdowns and
That's
5
good, right?
turnovers
No.
in his 2 starts. Right. I don't know. I mean, they're paying him $6 million, so I don't know if Eric DeCosta's like, hey, John, you got to use this guy. I spent $6 million on him this year, $12 million for 2 years. We got to use him. Makes no sense to me. For a team that values continuity, right? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, you would have thought Huntley would at least, been thrown in the game more. It's not like you commit to this guy being there for the whole 4 quarters, but when you're down to that point, you can't get any offense going on. What does it hurt? Are you upset that you made a backup quarterback hurt their feelings? I'm not. That guy's getting paid, what, 4 to 6 mil to sit on the bench and do nothing and throw 5 picks? You're not going to feel. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I don't care if your feelings hurt. You're still getting paid. So the other guy came in here and damn near did your job better in 30 less minutes. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
It makes no sense. By the way, just want to throw this out there. This is kind of going to be like a weekly thing. Nnamdi Madubuike still leads the Ravens in sacks, by the way. Hasn't played the last 4 games.
Broke his foot.
Yeah, I was just going to get to that too. Yeah. So I don't know what the timetable is like for a broken foot. I would assume he's going to be out for at least 2 months. I would say like at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's another reason why Eric DeCosta, it might behoove him to still make a move before the trade deadline for an edge rusher or somebody. But man, lots of bad. Honestly, that game could have been even worse if the Rams offense wasn't dropping passes all over the place, and things like that. But man, I just don't know what else to say.
I don't know what
lost for words.
Say.
Yeah, I don't know. 1-5. I never thought. We do this podcast year round, right? And all off season, none of us were thinking that this Ravens team would be 1-5 to this point. So the fact that we're here, I don't know. I really don't know where this Ravens team goes from here. All you can do is just hope that Lamar comes back and that you just he saves the season. That's it. As my dog is like starting to whine and complain. So I think we're gonna go ahead and leave it there after Alex gives his last
I'll
take.
add one more thing. Do you know how many the Ravens have sacks as a team right now? How many do they have in 6 games?
8, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Seahawks had 7 yesterday in one game.
Ooh.
All right. Well, what that defense costs a lot less too. Hell, they want to
Yeah.
trade Tariq Woolen.
Yeah.
They want to get
Yeah.
rid of guys on defense.
Don't understand, bro. And shout out to Mike McDonald, man. He's doing his
Yeah.
thing over there. He's looking like he's got full control of that locker room. Those guys believe in him. They have bought into him. And it could have been us. Could have been us. But we'll go ahead and leave it there for this episode, this vent session. Another one, right? The 4th straight vent session that we've had for this Ravens team. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to our channel as well if you do enjoy this Ravens content. And yeah, make sure you come back throughout the week because there will be, I'm sure, news dropping over the bye week, and maybe the Ravens actually make a move, right? They bring in, a big, they make a big splash before the trade deadline. That's what we're hoping for as Ravens fans right now. Alex says he's not giving up on the season just yet, right? Still
I've
wants to see
seen
his team
worse
win.
in other sports.
You've seen
man.
worse
in other sports. I've seen my team didn't win. My soccer team didn't win a match for like 4 months. I've seen worse. So I know things get better, but it definitely starts with the guys. I think coaching, instilling that. But I don't think they believe in Harbaugh. But hey, let me see something. Prove me wrong. This bye week is at a perfect time because the fans need it more than the players. I think we do. So.
Oh yeah, we need a week break from the abuse. We do.
Yeah. And you know what? If you're
that
happy
way.
with the Ravens, take a week off, man. Don't talk about them. I didn't want to talk about it, but I did. You know, I didn't talk about it today at work because I didn't have to. So I'm going to enjoy this time off from the Ravens. And yeah, we'll see you, on Thursday, I guess. We can just, I don't know what we can talk about on Thursday. We can talk maybe about life.
Yeah.
Maybe about life.
Yeah, we'll talk about life. How about that? How about that? That should be a fun one. But yeah, guys, make sure you stay tuned into the channel. There's always content dropping damn near daily. So make sure you stay locked in. Stay subscribed. Also like the video again. Also, you can hype this video down below in the comments if you're part of the hashtag replay gang. We'd appreciate that. And yeah, it's not all doom and gloom, right? We do get Lamar Jackson back after the bye week, guys. So at least we get to see some Lamar ball, right? That's if there's you don't get anything else, maybe you'll see some cool Lamar Jackson plays for the rest of the season. And who knows, maybe they can turn it around. We can make the playoffs. I know some people are kind of feel salty about that even. And it's like, oh, well, what are we going to do? Make the playoffs, stumble into the playoffs and another first round exit. And it saves John Harbaugh's job. I saw somebody in the chat saying that. But hey, man, I think we just got to enjoy it the rest of the way, right? We just got to enjoy it. That's what it comes down to. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out of this one.
Yeah, thank you for coming through to episode 342 of the Purple Pain Podcast. We love you. We appreciate you for coming through, spending your Monday evening with us, even in it isn't the best of terms, but hey, we're here together, we're breathing, and we woke up. So, the season's bad, man. We need to say that. But it's all good. It is all good. But you will stay freaking positive and you will test freaking negative.
Yes, and you will never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, quite like these times recently, right? You'll never forget to call God. This has been episode 342 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.